And seems like DJI is active again. And this time is the newest drone from the Mini series that fills the gap between the Mini 2 and the Mini 3 Pro. It's a DJI Mini 3 and I'm gonna show you all the specs, the differences and a price table with all the variations and price caps for you to make the best purchase decision possible. Yeah, I'm Mary, and in this channel I help with the tech tools to be creative. And if you've been here before, you saw that in this video over here I made a comparison between the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 2 and the DJI Air 2S. And I positioned the Mini 3 Pro somewhere in between them, but closer to the DJI Air 2S. So there was a gap to fill, and that's exactly what DJI is doing right now with the Mini 3. So let's just dive in the comparison between these different drones in the Mini series for you to be able to decide which one suits you best. Now the main concept of the Mini series is to have a super portable drone, but also that lies below the 250 grams mark. And this is because many countries set this as the limit to which you don't need to get a license to fly it, making it much simpler and easier to travel with your drone and fly it anywhere. Now I said it before, it's not very complicated to get a license, but if you're flying above 250 grams, you're gonna have to check it for every place you go, how to apply for a license in that place so that you can fly it legally. The separation between the Mini, the Air and the Pro series is very clear regarding size and weight. The Mini 3 and the Mini Pro are roughly the same size and more or less the same weight. Apart from one detail that is very important, there are two different kinds of batteries for these drones, the Intelligent Battery and the Intelligent Battery Plus. One together with the drone makes it weigh roughly 250 grams, and the other one is a bit heavier and lasts longer, but takes it to almost 300 grams, making it go over that 250 threshold. Now from my experience, if you're planning to carry your drone in a photographic backpack, either the Air series or the Mini series are just gonna be enough for you to carry it without any hassle. The Pro series begins to be a little bit more cumbersome and a little bit heavier, so you're gonna need either a bigger backpack or to carry it on a separate bag. Now let's get to what matters the most, the camera. If you're upgrading from the Mini 2, you're definitely gonna have a bump up in quality. You're gonna be getting a bigger sensor and also a bigger aperture, either with the Mini 3 or the Mini 3 Pro. And this will definitely help a lot, especially in lower light situations. And it doesn't even need to be at night properly for you to feel the difference. Also, the Mini 3 now features a dual ISO mode in which the drone is going to be recording or taking pictures in two different ISOs and combining them so that you have very well exposed shadows and highlights. One other important topic for those that really like to pixel peep the photos is that the Mini 3 comes with a 12 megapixel camera while the Mini 3 Pro has a 48 megapixel camera. If you like to crop and change a little bit of the framing of the photos after you've taken them, it's probably a better option in this case. The Mini 3 shoots RAW, JPEG, and you can do HDR images right out of the drone. Now regarding video and recording modes, the Mini 3 changes almost nothing to the Mini 2. It's got the same resolution, so Full HD, 2.7K and 4K, and it can shoot Full HD or 2.7K up to 60 frames per second, while 4K only up to 30 frames per second. The 3 Pro goes a little bit beyond that, shooting Full HD at 120 frames per second and 4K at 60. And also you got a higher bitrate, at up to 150 megabits per second in comparison to the 100 in the Mini 3. Now zooming is always digital, and I would never recommend you to do it on the screen itself while you're flying the drone. You just do it in post later if you really need it. But if you're exporting the video in the same resolution as you shot, you're always going to be losing quality by digitally zooming in. Now the Mini 3 is great for you to just put it in the air and just get the shots as you want them. It has really great image quality, and you won't need to do much in post-production to have a very beautiful image. It's meant to be a very simple and practical drone to fly. Now, if you're a little bit more advanced user and you like to color your clips later on, the Mini 3 Pro has the advantage of using the D-Cine-like profile, which is a shooting profile in which you get a little bit more information from the scene that you can play with in post-production later on. And this can make a massive difference, especially if you have a lot of contrast in the same image. Now, some of the new features of the Mini 3 series in comparison to the Mini 2 are very cool. For example, the camera flipping vertically. For photography, it didn't change that much because you could always do vertical panoramas and stitch them together later in post-production. Although it's more work to do that, but for video, there was no other way around it. You just had to shoot in the biggest resolution you had, and you had the perfect margin to crop it. But now, just by twisting the camera vertically, you're gonna be able to reframe it the way that you want, and you got much more margin to play with. Another small but cool improvement is the angle that the camera can do while shooting, especially when you're very close to a subject that is very high, like a waterfall or a building. I often feel the need of having a little bit more flexibility with the camera angle to be able to shoot it in its entirety. And on the Mini 3s you can almost look up. Another important point to consider are the automations of these drones, especially the active tracking. This is a way in which you select on the screen what's your subject, and the drone always keeps the camera tracking it. Now the Mini 3 kinda has it, but only inside the quick shot modes, meaning that you have to activate one of these automations to be able to use this tracking, and you don't have much control over it. Instead of the Mini 3 Pro, you can just set it, choose your subject, and you can fly it or you can let it control the drone by itself. And for me, there are three main things that will make your first experience flying a drone more pleasant or not. One of them is how good the connection with the drone is. The second is how long the battery lasts for you to be relaxed flying. And the third one, the sensors. On the Mini 3, you only have sensors below, meaning that when you're landing, it's gonna know how far the ground is. And you also avoid crashing on trees, for example, if you're going down or just diving into the sea. But on the Mini 3 Pro, you also got sensors in front and on the back. The ones in front might seem useless because you're always seeing what the camera sees. But there are some times in which the drone is just flying by itself, like for example when you lose connection and it just starts flying back to the home point. In this case, the frontal sensors are very important to fly around any kind of object it finds in the middle of the way or just to stop before it hits it. If you want to fly back and review a location, these are the ones that are gonna stop you from bumping into some tree or something that you hadn't noticed before. Now the flight time and how much these batteries are gonna last really depends on how you're gonna be flying this drone. If you're gonna be like a maniac, flying in turbo mode everywhere or just hovering around and just taking some pictures. Roughly what you can do to have an idea of how much the battery will last in your hands is to take 25 to 30% off of what you see on DJI's website, and that will generally be a very good idea of how much these batteries can last just with some flying around in normal mode, taking some videos and photos and then starting again. Now be it for Mini 2, Mini 3 or Mini 3 Pro, you get something around 25 and 40 minutes of flight time. But DJI is also selling now some batteries with a little bit more juice that are gonna take you to around 40 to 50 minutes of flight time. They're gonna be roughly 40% more expensive, but they're gonna keep you in the air for 10 to 15 minutes more. Transmission and controllers. Now here, each upgrade brings you a better connection and a most relaxed flight overall. The Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro use the O2 and O3. So each is gonna offer you a little bit better connection and a little bit more range. Is it gonna be very noticeable? Between the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro, I don't think that much. And this doesn't mean only getting disconnected from the drone itself, but when you're on the edge of losing connection, you begin to lose frames in the video feed and you cannot see clearly what's going on and it's very difficult to control the drone. So this just avoids this inconvenience and reduces a lot the times in which the drone is just gonna begin flying back because it lost connection. And now they kinda unified the controllers amongst almost all the drone series. That you're gonna be able to use this RC-N1 controller that has the opening over here for your smartphone to be used as a screen on the Mini 2, Mini 3, Air 2, Mavic 3 series, all of these. So if you already have another drone that has this controller, you don't need to get another one. Another great option they offer is the RC controller, the controller that has the built-in screen so that you don't need to use your smartphone to fly the drone. It's totally ready to go. It improves the connectivity, but it definitely is a much more expensive option than this one. Price. Okay, so now things get a little bit complicated because there are so many different variations of how you can get these drones. And mainly what you're gonna notice is that for all of the options, the difference between the Mini 3 and the Mini 3 Pro is gonna be roughly $200. With, without controller, combo or not. And for each upgrade within the same line, you're gonna see that you're gonna get a better value by buying it all together than getting it all separately or later on. So let's begin with drones alone, and here we're talking about $469 and $669. And these are in dollars, but if you're in Europe, just add 30 more and it's gonna be the price in euros. Now, if you need a controller, it's gonna be $559 or $759. So it's roughly $90 for the controller. Now, if you wanna be fancy and get the RC controller, then we're talking about $699 and $909. And this is an upgrade that costs you $230, but if you're gonna get the controller separately, it's gonna cost you $310. So if you're on the edge between getting this controller or the RC, it's better if you get it already together with the drone. Now, to bump these up to the combo in which you get extra propellers, extra batteries, the multiple charger, and some extra cables, you're gonna have to pay $159 more. And if you were to replicate more or less the same combo, buying everything separately, you'd definitely spend a little bit more than $200. But really from this package, what really matters are the extra batteries and the multiple battery charger, which cost separately $179, so you're getting a $20 discount. And you're getting all the other small things like the bag, for example, which is actually quite handy. Now, something that is not included in this combo, but it is in other packages of DJI drones, are the ND filters. And these cost $40 and I definitely recommend you to get them. Because especially if you're gonna be mixing your drone footage with normal camera footage, when it's really bright, you're gonna have to bump the shutter up so much, there's going to be a massive difference between both filmings. Not only in color, but also in feel. So for 40 bucks only, I say it's totally worth it. Another item to consider is the DJI Carry Fresh. It's kind of like an insurance for your drone. So with this, you're getting a 1 or 2 years warranty in which they're going to replace the drone for you in any kind of damage situation. So all you gotta do is grab the destroyed drone, send it over to them, and they're gonna send you a brand new one. You do have to pay a replacement fee of about $40, which is definitely not much compared to the original price of the drone. Now there's a catch here. Since you have to send them the damaged drone, if you just crash it somewhere in which you cannot rescue it, you won't be able to take advantage of this warranty. So while it does give you some peace of mind, it's not something extraordinary also. Okay, so let's wrap it up. If you're thinking about getting your first drone or your first mini drone, the Mini 3 is a great choice at a fantastic price point. High quality images, videos, super portable, no worries about regulations, super easy to use. So if you just want the best and cheapest, look no further. Now, if you're looking for the best value, there are some items that cannot be overlooked between the Mini 3 and Mini 3 Pro. I think mainly the sensors are gonna be a massive difference between both of them. And having the front and backward sensors are just going to make your flight experience so much better and more relaxed. The better connectivity also is going to improve it, but it's a little bit less noticeable. You're gonna feel the high resolution, and also having the active tracking is amazing to do super fluid shots or orbiting around something. Now, to sum up the value propositions, I'd say that either of them in the combo version, you're gonna get a little bit more value than just getting the drone plus the controller, because the combo comes with mainly the batteries and the moldable battery charger that are for me something you cannot be without. One battery is never enough, and having to charge one at a time is so time consuming. Plus, if you have 200 bucks to spare, and you're maybe considering to get the RC controller, for example, I'd say that this money is much better invested in upgrading from the Mini 3 to the Mini 3 Pro. So I'd say overall both are great drones. You're gonna have a great time flying with either of them. If you wanna check them out, I'm gonna leave the links in the description, and if you have any questions or comments about either of these drones, just pop them in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!